Bhishma does not die, but he does not get up either. He hesitates. The Kurukshetra war rages on. For 10 days straight, Bhishma has been unstoppable. And then it happens. Arrow after arrow pierces through Bhishma's defenses. The invincible warrior staggers and falls. The immortal who can choose his own death, who always chose to fight, chose to live, now faces an impossible choice. If he chooses to die, he abandons his duty to the throne he's protected for over 100 years. If he chooses to live, he destroys the very family he helped raise. What could force an immortal warrior to question everything? To understand this, we need to go back. All the way back to when this warrior took an oath so extreme, it would trap him in impossible choices. King Shantanu is dying from heartache. For months, the most powerful ruler in ancient India has been fading away. His only son Devavrata watches helplessly until he discovers the truth. Meet Satyavati, a fishing chief's daughter whose beauty has driven this king to madness. King Shantanu wants to marry Satyavati right away, but her father Dasa sets one impossible condition. Satyavati's future sons must inherit the throne, which means Devavrata, trained from birth to rule the most powerful kingdom, must be cast aside forever. The choice between his son's future and his own desire is what is killing Shantanu. So Devavrata takes matters in his own hands. Without hesitation, he rushes to meet Dasa, the fishing chief, and renounces his claim to the throne forever, the most powerful position in the known world, and he just walks away. But Dasa isn't satisfied. He is worried Devavrata's future children could challenge his grandsons. So Devavrata makes an even more impossible promise. He will never marry, never have children. His bloodline will die with him. The most eligible bachelor in the world just sentenced himself to eternal loneliness, all to save a father's broken heart. And just like that, Prince Devavrata is reborn as Bhishma, the man who took an extreme oath. But this act of love is about to imprison Bhishma forever. Shantanu marries Satyavati and they have two sons, Chitrangada and Vichitravirya. Every day, Shantanu watches his elder son Bhishma serve the very throne he sacrificed. Every day, Shantanu's guilt grows heavier. How do you repay someone who gave up eternity for you? Then Shantanu has an idea. If Bhishma sacrificed everything for duty, then that duty will never be allowed to destroy him. Shantanu gives his son an unprecedented boon, the power of invincibility in battle and control over death. Bhishma is overwhelmed. He believes he has saved the man he loves most, and in return, he's been blessed for it. But Shantanu's boon has just created something terrible. Bhishma gave up his claim to the throne, but now this blessing chains him to it forever, immortal, invincible, and unable to leave. 100 years of serving unworthy kings and watching injustices unfold lie ahead. But Bhishma has no idea. What kind of injustices could make an immortal warrior question his choices in a battlefield? The answer has a name, Amba. And what Bhishma does to her will haunt him for the rest of his immortal life. Bhishma's stepbrother Chitrangada falls in battle. Only young Vichitravirya remains to continue the Kuru bloodline. But he refuses every marriage proposal. The Kuru dynasty stands one generation away from extinction. So when Bhishma hears about a Swayamvara, he sees salvation. The king of Kashi's 3 princesses seeking husbands, a chance to save the Kuru dynasty. But Bhishma's kingdom isn't invited. Rumor has spread about Vichitravirya's reluctance to marry. The insulted Bhishma, desperate to save the family line, storms the ceremony uninvited. He defeats every king present and abducts all 3 princesses for Vichitravirya. The most righteous man commits the most heinous crime for the sake of progeny, for the survival of the kingdom. But the eldest princess Amba is already in love with someone else. She was about to marry King Shalva before Bhishma abducted her. She demands to be released. Bhishma hesitates, but his conscience prevails and he lets her go. When Amba reaches Shalva, he rejects her because he couldn't defeat Bhishma. Amba is trapped. No one will fight Bhishma and no one will marry her. Her life is destroyed because Bhishma chose his kingdom over Amba's dignity. So Amba takes her own terrible oath to return in her next life as a warrior with one purpose: kill Bhishma in battle. Amba leaves her body to return when Bhishma is at his most vulnerable. Bound by his oath to serve whoever sits on the throne, no matter what they do, Bhishma watches as the Kuru kingdom he sacrificed everything to protect slowly rot from within. He watches his stepbrothers Chitrangada and Vichitravirya come and go. He tolerates his nephews Dhritarashtra and Pandu rule poorly. He endures his grandnephews, the 5 Pandava brothers led by Yudhishthira and their 100 Kaurava cousins led by Duryodhana, grow up with a rivalry that's poisoning everything around them. Different kings, same throne, growing dysfunction. Then comes the breaking point, a rigged game of dice. This wasn't just gambling, it was a trap orchestrated by Prince Duryodhana, consumed by jealousy of his cousin's success. Through Prince Duryodhana's deceit and Yudhishthira's fatal adherence to duty, believing that refusing to play would be dishonorable, the 5 Pandava brothers lose everything: their kingdom, their freedom, even their wife Draupadi. In front of the entire royal court, Duryodhana orders Draupadi humiliated, stripped, degraded, while the most powerful people in the kingdom watch helplessly. Everyone, including Bhishma, the one person who could have actually stopped this injustice, and he stays silent. His terrible oath has made him a prisoner, and in that moment, Bhishma seals the kingdom's fate. War is now inevitable. War comes to Kurukshetra. The very family Bhishma sacrificed everything to protect is now tearing itself apart. The cruel irony: bound by his oath to serve the throne, Bhishma fights for the Kaurava prince Duryodhana against his beloved Pandava grandnephews. But Bhishma sets one condition: he will not kill any of the Pandava brothers. Still, Bhishma is unstoppable. The Pandava army is being decimated. The war cannot end as long as this immortal warrior fights. And then it happens. Arjuna, one of the Pandava brothers, finally faces Bhishma, his grand uncle. But Arjuna doesn't come alone. He comes with Shikandi. Bhishma recognizes the vengeance in Shikandi's eyes and accepts his karma. He cannot strike Arjuna, his beloved grandnephew. For the first time in over a century, Bhishma lowers his weapons. He chooses not to fight. Arjuna shoots. Hundreds of arrows piercing through Bhishma, each one dragging a godlike warrior closer to the ground. But for an immortal who controls his own death, falling and dying are two very different things. What will Bhishma choose? For over 100 years, Bhishma believed his sacrifice was noble, that his oath protected the throne. But lying there, he sees what his choices really created. Generations of dysfunction. Incompetent kings he couldn't challenge. Injustices he couldn't stop. A war between the very grandsons he helped raise. And so, the man who controlled death finally embraces it. Not as defeat, but as freedom. But Bhishma's silence didn't just enable injustice. It created a system where princes learned that power meant never being questioned. Next time, we'll meet one such prince, Duryodhana, whose jealousy would make him declare that he was winning even as his entire kingdom burned around him.